Today we're working some sample problems from section 11.1 on basic concepts. And I'll begin with problem number 2. And we have a spinner. Trying to make it look round. And it's divided into 4 even sections. And we have, let's see, yellow. Get yellow. We have 2 yellow sections. Okay, and we have a red section. Alright, that's as close as I can get to red, so we'll go with that. And we have a blue section. Okay, so there's our spinner. And they want to know the probability the spinner would land on red. And we see there's 1 red section out of 4, and they're equally likely. Okay, yellow. This time I'll put the probability of yellow. We have 2/4. Which reduces to 1/2, and the probability of blue is 1 out of 4. Okay, let's go down to number 6, and what we have is Kim Lenigan's group of preschool children include 9 girls and 7 boys. So we have a total of 16. Alright. If Kim randomly selects one child to be first in line, with E being the event that the one selected is a girl, give each of the following. First of all, the total number of possible outcomes, actually I did here, is 16. B, the number of favorable outcomes, so that would mean getting a girl, so we have 9. The number of unfavorable would be getting a boy, since we're looking at the probability of getting a girl. The probability of event E, and I'm going to go probability of getting a girl, 9 out of 16. And E, the odds in favor. Okay, remember odds in favor will be favorable to unfavorable. So that's 9 to 7. Okay, and that takes care of number 6. Let's see if we can get number 10 on this page. We have a random selection of club officers, 5 people. Alan, Bill, Kathy, David, and Evelyn form a club, and we're going to use the first letters to designate them. If they choose a president randomly, find the odds against. Alright, so we have Kathy. The odds against Kathy. There's only 1 Kathy, and there's 5 in all, so that leaves 4 that are not Kathy. So unfavorable would be 4 to 1. The odds against a woman. Okay, we have Alan, Bill, and David, so we have 3 males and 2 females. So unfavorable would be the men, 3 to the favorable. Part C, a person whose name begins with a consonant. Okay, we have 1, 2, 3 that begin with a consonant and 2 that do not, so that would be unfavorable to favorable. Okay, let's move down to number 14. It says we're to give the answers to 3 decimal places. In a hybrid corn research project, 200 seeds were planted. So, total number of seeds planted, 200. And 175 of them germinated. Find the empirical probability that any particular seed of this type will germinate. So we're basing this on the experiment, and we had 175 out of the 200 to germinate. And if we express that as a decimal, and you can use your calculator and divide 175 by 200. Okay, moving to the next page, and number 18 says the probability of location in a tunnel. Mr. Davis is driving through a tunnel that is 8 miles long. At this instant, what is the probability that he is at least 6 miles from one end of the tunnel? Be at least 6 miles. Okay, so the total length of the tunnel is 8 miles, and we want probability that the mileage is greater than or equal to 6. So that would be if he is, okay, so we have our tunnel that is 8 miles long, and we want him to be at least 6 miles from one end. So in this case, that would be, I'm going to highlight this section, 6 miles away from that end. And if we're talking about from the other end, we would have our 6 miles. And so at least 6 would be that. So it ends up, we're talking about what, 2 miles here and 2 miles there. So we have 4 miles over 8, which would be 1/2. That's a tricky question. Good thing we did that one. Okay. Number 20, Mendel found no dominance in snapdragons in contrast to peas with respect to red and white flower. When pure red and pure white parents are crossed, the resulting RR combination, one of each gene, produces second generation offspring with pink flowers. These second generation pinks, however, still carry one red and one white gene. So when they are crossed, the third generation is still governed by table 3. And table 3 is on page 583. Okay, so on number 20, what's the probability of getting pink in the third generation? Well, what we see in table 3, we have 2 little r, capital R combinations. One's capital R and little r, so we have 2 out of the 4, or 1/2 would be the probability of pink. Okay. All right, we have another genetics problem. Mendel also investigated various characteristics besides flower color. For example, round peas are dominant over recessive wrinkled peas. First, second, and third generations can be analyzed using tables 2 and 3, where capital R represents round and little r represents wrinkled. So we're using the same table again back on page 583. So in 22, explain why crossing pure round and pure wrinkled first generation parents will always produce round peas in the second generation offspring. So let's look. Okay, because what we're doing is in the first generation we end up with 4 that have R, capital R, little r, which means that the dominant gene, the round, is going to show up. But when we go to the second generation, which we see in table 3, we get RR, capital RR, which means we have round. It has both genes are dominant for round. we have capital R, little r, that's going to produce a round, and little r, capital R will produce a round, but we have little r, which is going to produce a wrinkled, so the recessive gene will show up there. Okay, so I didn't write that one out. Okay, I'm going to stop here and we'll pick up in the next video.